Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John, and it's time for a review of Album 6, Positions by Ariana Grande. The lead single dropped a week prior of the same name. Positions was a very subtle, low-key R&B type of pop song, and I had heard about this record that it was mainly going to be kind of sexually charged, R&B energy, and that's definitely what you could describe this album is. It doesn't, in my earnest opinion, lend itself to a ton of discussion, so this review might be a bit shorter than usual. This is an album that came on the heels of two blockbuster releases for Ariana. I think that both Sweetener and Thank You Next had similar problems, yet different. What I mean by that is that Sweetener had some bangin' singles, orgasmic really. They Wouldn't Leave My Head, No Tears Left to Cry, God is a Woman, Breathin', all electrifying. But on the flip side of the coin, the deep cuts I found to be very lacking. The avant-pop production was something that I think a lot of people latched onto, but it wasn't my cup of tea. And then Thank You Next had the amazing deep cuts, but really bad singles, like Seven Rings was my worst song of 2019. So going into this, I really had no idea what to expect. This is certainly what I would call a quarantine album, and what I mean by that, a lot of people called Folklore by Taylor Swift that because it was more intimate, stripped back, and it talked a lot about personal day-to-day life, and it makes us connect more to the artist. But whereas Folklore was very imaginative, it thought outside of the box, I think this definitely puts itself in a lot of boxes. Positions as an album definitely wears its influences on its sleeve. It's got a lot of R&B production to it, and I appreciate that she didn't just go with big names. Sure, you've got Murda Beats in there, and also longtime collaborator The Rascals that date back to her debut album once again, and I still feel like I miss the energy that she captivated us with on Yours Truly. I still think that's her best full-length album, and there's traces of that sound here. I think the closing track, POV, nails it. There's some great vocal runs there, also a lot of chemistry between her and her producers. The beat is just catching fire, but that is the tail end of the album, and I feel like there's so many sections that just drag and make you just kind of force your head to tilt back up and pay attention. A few things I do like about this record: the collaborators are generally good. There's not any songs that just make me physically cringe. There's nothing awful and abhorrent. There's just a lot of sleepy tunes. There is cheese in there. I mean, 34 plus 35, 69, we get it. Sex. You're going to timeout for that one, Ariana. I just can't help but feel like there's nothing really special about this, and when I reviewed the single, I kept saying I felt like I wanted something more. I feel like we need something bigger, and I understand the restraint shown here. It's just that the lyrical content doesn't leave much to the imagination, or it doesn't really make it that personal to her, even though there are personal situations that she describes. To anyone that thinks this is Ariana's first exploration into sexually explicit material, I would have to laugh my head off at you if you haven't heard really anything. I mean, Love Me Harder, what was that, like 2014, 2015? It was about getting fucked hard, rough sex, we understand that, right? This is just an album that taps into that more, and I appreciate that there is nuance, but also upfrontness about what she's confronting with her sexual energy, owning that and being the woman that she wants to be, being confident in her relationship. And I think some people are gonna look into this a bit too much. I hate it when the modern wave of feminism, or whatever you want to call it, says you can't be submissive in your relationship at all, because in this record, Ariana does describe the fact that she wants to be submissive at times. Maybe that's in the bedroom, maybe it's something sexual, or maybe she wants to wake up the next day and cook him something, but also she expects stuff out of her lover too. There's equations, there's balance, and there's everything in between. So I really wouldn't overthink it there, and I think it's okay to be submissive in some ways if you want to maybe be confident or in taking leadership in another. There's a few reasons why I feel like people are going to be excited in the first half of the record, but maybe you start to taper those expectations by the time we get to track 8. I think a lot of that has to do with, one, of course, there are some genuinely awesome moments in the first half, just like Magic. I mean, come on, that is a smash. The keys on this track are undeniably good, and she just has a catchy cadence, a really good vibe to her overall. But once we get to the back half, of course, that excitement that we initially had, it starts to wear off. Of course, this is a fresh album from Ariana Grande, one of the biggest pop stars out there. I mean, I won't even lie and say I wasn't excited to listen, but by the time we get to My Hair, some of those insufferable vocal moments in the back half of the track, Oh boy, I started kind of listening with bated breath, and as we keep going, we just start to hear a lot of these songs running together. They're short, they don't necessarily go anywhere, and they don't provide anything new or of real substance. Positions as the title track is totally fine. It's neither here nor there, it doesn't rub me the wrong way, but it also doesn't strike itself as, oh my god, one of the pop jams of the year. And I appreciate that this record was going for something a bit more understated. I can see that arc that she's consistently pushing with the production, with the string arrangements, which often bring out emotion. They sound nice. The collaboration with the Weeknd, even though it's by no means as great as Love Me Harder, it's still solid, and I can appreciate the extra emotion and intensity that's added by that instrumentation, the violins, all of the orchestral elements. But also, we have to get through some of these songs that just keep doing the exact same thing and really go nowhere. Shut Up is a rather slow start to the album that just doesn't captivate me or leave much to the imagination. 34 plus 35, I do appreciate the sexual charge to that one. It picks things up a bit, but I just never really feel like the album fully gets set into motion. There's good collaborations, there's good tracks. I think Safety Net with Dolla, that was actually kind of beautiful in a weird way. I didn't expect them to harmonize like that, but it comes through in a massive banger type of sense that's a bit more low-key than you would expect for Ariana. It definitely needs to be a single, but as I keep listening through this record time and time again, looking for more to talk about, maybe outside of the excellent closing track POV, which opens up a bit more, shows off Ariana's vocal skill, and just the melody of that track is really insanely good, I can't find a ton of positives to take away here. It's kind of a sleepy record that doesn't exactly open the floodgates for discussion. It's fine, it's not bad, it's also not great. There's a few songs that I'm picking off to save to my playlist, and that's pretty much it. Perhaps the best setting to listen to this record in is late at night, a drive, falling asleep. I tried it in those settings, and it definitely sounded fine there, but it also kind of did put me to sleep, so listener beware. It's kind of background music, but it's also by no means bad. There's some great tracks stuffed in there. It's just that nothing exactly ignites the way that maybe you would want it to. So as far as my rating goes, I'm gonna give this thing a light 3 out of 5, and I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thanks again for watching this review. If you enjoyed it, drop a like on the video. A like goes a long way. Subscribe for the love of music. If you want to see my thoughts on Thank You next, then tap this card right here for that review, or tap here for another recent pop review. All of my socials can be found in the description down below, and other than that, I will see you soon for more right here on ARTV. Happy Halloween!